All right. Well, welcome back to Leaders Fuel Daily Podcast. This is episode number 8, and I cannot be more excited about who I'm talking with here. This is my very good friend, Londina Cruz. Londina and I met through the John Maxwell team. We're both John Maxwell certified coaches. And we had this conversation just moments ago getting ready. People that are listening to this might know that I do a course called The Resilient Entrepreneur, all about emotional intelligence. And we had this wild thing and this same thought that both of us had about resiliency. And as it happens, Londina actually teaches a lot on resiliency. And so I'm just going to let you go, Londina, because I know you're going to provide a lot of value here. I cannot wait to hear what you have to share with people here. So thank you for being here, by the way. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Rick, for inviting me. And I am just so excited to be here on your show and to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. And as you well know, because you coached me through some moments of my tough, as I like to call it, bouncing forward from adversity.
Yes.
Instead of bouncing back, there's no bouncing back. And I say, we're not a ball.
Yeah.
They use the ball and the rubber band as bouncing back. We're human beings and we're resilient, so we can bounce forward quicker from adversity so that we can create the life that we truly desire.
Nice.
And so you coached me through those moments where I was, having some challenges. And so you're in my heart forever. And here I am.
Well, here you are.
We're sharing the same thoughts.
Well, absolutely my privilege. And so that was so uncanny because we were getting ready to start and having this little conversation. And I said, one time the thought occurred to me about bouncing forward, and you were like, oh my goodness, that's exactly what I share about. I was like, that's great. God was speaking to both of us, I think, in his own way. So I'm so glad to hear you say that. And listen, being your friend has been an absolute privilege for me. And I love what you do as a member of the John Maxwell team and with your own business. And so so for you, kind of speaking a little bit more to this whole idea of resiliency. I love that analogy. We're not rubber bands or rubber balls. We're people. So what has it meant for you to bounce forward in your life and how, and also I want to hear, like, how do you share this with people and what are the ways that you do that? I want to hear about that.
Mm-hmm. As you know, I was involved in a really bad car accident where I suffered a traumatic brain injury, and I broken my back and my neck in several places, and I was given no hope. The doctor said that was it. I wasn't going to get any better. And there was a part of me that just jumped up and said, no way, because I have a son and he was 6 at the time. Mm-hmm. And I had to put a lot of work into the recovery. It's not like it happens overnight. Mm-hmm. So we're resilient because we put on the work to bounce back quickly. Mm-hmm. And it's not like when you get hit with adversity, because it's going to happen to all of us at any stage in life. We're going to get hit with adversity. Mm-hmm. And we're created as human beings to be resilient. Yes. And we become stronger. And I say we become courageous. We're born with courage, but we mm-hmm. become courageous when we walk through our adversity. Nice. And walking through that adversity, that's what takes resilience. Mm-hmm. And when we get to the other side, we become courageous. And so that is in all human beings. And when I share that with my clients, mm-hmm. they understand it, they get it.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, because they go through times in life where they've had to use that resiliency to move forward.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you that as an example, what is something, so you had this traumatic brain injury, this TBI, and the prognosis that it was all doom and gloom, and you said, no way, I'm getting up, I'm getting out of here, and you moved on. What are some examples of some things sort of post TBI that you added into your life that became a part of who you are that maybe weren't there before then? Is there some things that you can think of?
Well, before the TBI, I was not aware of personal development.
Okay.
And the superhuman that we truly are. I was
Yeah.
living by default.
Yeah.
Like, like I had no knowledge. And I really see the TBI as a gift, really, because it just showed all that strength that as human beings, it's not just me that has this, it's all of us. And
Yes.
when we connect to it, it makes us unstoppable.
Oh,
There
that's
isn't
great.
anything that comes along that I can't handle, because
Nice.
if I did that, then I can do anything else.
For sure.
Yeah. So my mind, I started to connect with who I really was as a
Mm-hmm.
human being, as a
Mm-hmm.
spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, none of us are here alone.
Mm-hmm.
And started to really bounce forward.
Mm-hmm.
I released 100 pounds afterwards, where
Wow.
before that, I had no, I thought that if I lost 30 pounds, I can go back to eating and it would never come back. And
Yes.
let me tell you, Rick, it's not true.
Yeah. The same habits would get, yeah.
Yeah. So
Nice.
you have to keep on.
Yeah.
And when you move forward, you want to stretch, work out that resilient muscle.
Yeah.
Because if you just lay there, you will regress. As
Yeah.
you and I know, you're either growing or dying.
Yeah.
There's no inertia,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I used that workout, that muscle. I was thinking, yeah, because if you don't, it atrophies, right? It just
Yeah,
gets rigid and if we don't operate in resiliency, we essentially are decreasing our capacity of
exactly.
resiliency. And then we have to, it's really trials that like cause us to get out there and stretch our resiliency out a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after that was when I um, had my first coach.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one that helped me to see that I was living in chaos
Mm-hmm.
because I was not aware that I was creating my life.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So after the TBI, I was going through a lot of anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress.
Mm-hmm.
But I had control of that, but nobody ever told me that. It has to do
Mm.
with our thoughts.
Yes.
What are you thinking? Like that accident is the past. It's not here anymore. It
Mm-hmm.
only exists in your mind.
Ah, in your
And that was like,
imagination. Yeah.
boom, that big awareness, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. So I understood what creating your life is.
Yes.
So you and I, whether we do it intentionally or it's going to happen by default, we are creating as we go.
Yes.
So it's better to create intentionally, don't you think?
Well, yeah, it's a lot more fun. And even when it's
Yeah.
hard work, because, I think this idea, hey, look, in life, we're going to have trials, right?
Yes.
So whether we're living by default or by design,
Hmm.
the trials are going to be there. But when we're living by design or doing it intentionally, there's so much more of a sense of accomplishment,
Hmm.
empowerment, really kind of a peacefulness about life, or it's like there's a lady that did a study. She wrote a book called The Upside of Stress, and to kind of put that in a nutshell, what she figured out was it's not stress that actually causes harm, it's how we think about stress. And then the bouncing forward part of that is the meaning that we attach, meaning that when we have trials, we go, look, this is for my good, this is for my growth, I'm going to use this, and it's being used in my life for good things and development and growth, and it's helping me get better at whatever the purpose is. I think a lot of times people say this phrase, this too shall pass, and meaning that, hey, look, I'm only experiencing this, it's not who I am, it's just what's going on in my life. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm not going to let this define who I am. And I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but and then you got into some athletic stuff and all that out where right? You might have been ready to say that. I might have cut you off, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, that's all, this perfectly fine. And
Yeah,
again, this all happened because I had a coach.
yeah,
I was able to get off of medication because he said they have you repeating the same thought in your mind, and your brain doesn't know the difference between you actually being in the car accident or that you're just thinking about it.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
the brain doesn't know the difference whether it's in our mind or is it actually happening.
mm-hmm.
So it was always going into shock. So all these doctors had me like in a circle,
Mm-hmm.
and I finally got off the roller coaster
Nice.
and started creating. And so yes, I had this desire that came over me to become a triathlete. I never before that had the desire. So I went from having a broken back and neck and massive brain injury to being a triathlon. I've done a half Ironman, which is a
Mm-hmm.
really long distance.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, I can't believe that I have accomplished that. So nothing is impossible if we set our minds to. I started thinking of healing myself,
Mm-hmm.
and although sometimes I had pain, I would still work through it a little bit at a time. And that's what resilience is. Resilience doesn't mean that you have to do it all in one day.
Yes.
Resilience is having the ability to get up the next day and continue to move forward, not
Mm.
backwards, not where I was yesterday.
Yes. Yeah.
Is move another step, just even if it's just one tiny step.
Mm-hmm.
That is all that is required of us.
Nice. Wow. I mean, that is so powerful. I'm telling you. So my admiration is like pretty high, by the way. You just need to know that. That's that to go from that. And I have to say, and I, I, I think about this a lot because, that same ability that was in you and to go from a traumatic brain injury and a broken neck and a broken back. That sort of restorative healing power is the same power that allows our bodies to build new neural pathways and learn new things and kind of expand who we are in this sort of becoming part of life. And it's also one of the things that I share that, see, for me, like the idea of neuroplasticity, I get really jazzed about that because
Me
it
too.
feels like an incredibly hopeful thing. And in many ways, I mean, in your life, based on a sort of with the be starter of an accident, you got in, your brain was basically replenishing itself
Mm-hmm.
then. And the point is that, look, it doesn't take an accident for our brain to have that ability. It has it all the time, and it doesn't matter at what age we are. And then there's this other bit about this that's called epigenetics. And the whole idea
Mm-hmm.
of epigenetics is, we all know that, we all go to the doctor and they're like, do you have heart disease in your family? Do you have cancer? Do you have all these things? Well, yeah, maybe you have those things, but what that really tells you is you might have a predisposition to things. You might have a propensity towards these things, but it's really the actions that we take and the habits that we build that kind of turn those genes on or off.
Yes.
And so what you said there a minute ago is, you talked about healing and you talked about your thoughts, and that the idea was you understood that that thought is the first level of creation. Like, of that whole process, thoughts are things, and when you're thinking thoughts, it's an actual chemical process, and emotions are chemical things that are going on. And the point is that you talk about being intentional. The idea is that you're pressing into something, and when you're doing that, it's actually helping to turn on the right genes that are for your good, and kind of and building those pathways that really help you become the person that you want to be, and do the things that you want to do. And the fact that you stayed in that, and you turned it all into, among other things, I mean, it's a great example of doing that, the Ironman and the half Ironman. I mean, I mean, look, I've never done a half Ironman, and I think, oh my goodness, that would be so hard to do. But you did never let those thoughts stop you, and you went out and did it. So.
And you said something so powerful about the DNA, the neuroplasticity.
Hmm.
And that is so true. Like, we can change our DNA with our thoughts,
Hmm.
and people, because it's so foreign to them,
Hmm.
that it just goes over people's head. Like, no, DNA, you can't change DNA.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, your thoughts, your mind creates your brain.
Yeah.
People, people thought that the brain created the thoughts,
Yeah.
but the mind is the one that creates the brain. The brain doesn't create the mind.
Oh
So
wow,
with
that's a very
whatever you're
interesting.
thinking, you're shaping your brain. So the negative thoughts produces toxicity in your
Mm-hmm.
body,
Mm-hmm.
which then turns into disease.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we do all that through our thoughts.
Mm.
And so once I started studying that, I have intentionally, I pray over my body.
Yeah. Nice.
Um, I pray over my thoughts, I
Mm-hmm.
pray over my joints, I pray over my knees. And I have recovered to a point that I never thought, looking back, I never thought that I would be, in this place. And something really interesting, and I'm not saying this to boast, but I ran into a lady at the health club just a few days ago,
Mm-hmm.
and she was looking at me and looking at me, and then she got a chance to walk by, and she goes, Londina, you look fantastic. She goes, you look marvelous. And I said, oh, thank you so much. And she said, well, how do you do it? And I said, well, I've just become this person. I created this person. And boom, I had this awareness. And this is also for people who are in business.
Yes.
We don't see the success while we're creating it.
Yeah.
We see it on the other side.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
And
Yeah.
that's resiliency. You want to stay with your business, whatever it is that you're creating.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the mess and you see the mess, but you're not going to see the progress and the achievement until you've moved forward.
Yeah.
And then you're going to say, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
And when you have that wow moment, that means that you have now become that person to achieve that success.
Yeah.
And now no one can take that away from you.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Of course, you're speaking my language. We
Yeah,
love
you
this stuff,
too.
and it's so great. Well, it's so great also to have the privilege of sharing this with people and to see. You kind of mentioned. I said, "What's changed?" You said, "Well, I wasn't even thinking about development, personal development before." And what I find is like that when we come to personal development, it's there's sort of a gradual thing usually, and then when the lights turn on, like you
Mhm.
said, then all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, this stuff is awesome, and so you get excited. I like talking about it, but I do love getting into the nitty gritty of people's businesses and seeing how all these things play
Mhm.
out, and many more. Well, okay, well let me ask before because I want to hear all about your business and what you do, but before I jump into that, I want to make sure. So, any other like thoughts as far as resiliency or anything else that we haven't touched on yet that you want to pass along? And again, the whole point of me doing this is entrepreneurial empowerment. So
Mhm.
is there anything maybe we should also share with people in this conversation?
Yes, I want to share with people that even I, and I'm sure you as well, Rick, we still have the tough times. We still have that mental talk, like you're not good enough. Who do you think you are? Like you have this doubt. And our brains was created for survival. That is the job of the brain. Like the heart pumps our blood, the brain is to keep us alive and conserve energy.
Mm-hmm.
So at any moment that we have a thought
Mm-hmm.
and the brain thinks we're in danger,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to start screaming, danger, danger, danger. And we're going to get scared. We're
Yeah.
going to hit procrastination. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to hit, oh no, I can't do that. And
Mm-hmm.
that is, we have the ability to override that. That's resilience.
Yeah.
We can think, turn the brain off and,
Yeah.
and start our minds, our thoughts intentionally growing.
Yeah.
So it never goes away.
Yes.
And new levels,
Mm-hmm.
new devils,
Yeah. Ooh,
new
oh my. I'm
boogeymans.
using that. I am totally using that. People are going to hear me say that.
So I
I've
want
never
to,
heard that. So I love that. Yeah. New levels.
yeah. So it's constant, and you just go to a new level and a new level, and
Yes.
you learn and you get stronger and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that is what humans are. We're creating resilience,
Mm-hmm.
and it's up to us how far we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And to keep on growing. The hard times, the challenges, that is what makes us strong.
Nice. That is so
Yeah.
cool. Wow. Whew. New levels, new devils. I'm totally. I love that. Okay. So talk about your business. As I already said, we're both John Maxwell team coaches, and that is actually how we met. We were coaching partners in that, and but talk about your business and maybe even where you are and what you do, and who are you helping as a business coach, and who are good people to
Yes.
connect with you.
Yeah. So I am a resilience coach
Mm-hmm.
for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So I work with business people,
Mm-hmm.
and not just business people, but my ideal client is somebody who wants to change and is willing to do the work.
Willing to do the
Because
work.
you and I know that is simple but not easy.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't have a magic wand.
Yeah.
It takes work. And what happens is that sometimes when people come to coaching, they want us to change somebody else in their life. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, you have to change.
Yeah. Love that.
And when that happens, some people are not up to the challenge.
Yeah.
So people that want to change,
Yeah.
that want to grow.
Yeah.
And
It's
yeah.
I when you said that, I had this thought of like, you got to be ready to face yourself. Sometimes we've heard that idea, like stand naked in front of the mirror. You know,
Yes.
you have to be willing to go, okay, look, this is something about me that I need to overcome. So that's the idea, is you got to be willing to face yourself first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I mentioned before, my first coach ever, he said to me that I was a problem, that I was creating the chaos in my life. And I said, what are you talking about? Like, I wanted to hang up on him.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that's okay, because I'll call you right back. And but he's the first one to open up my eyes, and I
Yeah.
was able to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not easy for me, but I knew that I was the one that needed to do the changing.
Yeah, nice. Well, thank goodness he did, and
Yeah.
you kept moving forward and did. I'm so proud of everything that you've done, and great to know you. And every time you mentioned at the beginning of this, we hadn't connected in a while, but I get some good energy every time. I feel more energized now. So um,
I think about you often. I
that
think about you often.
is cool.
And all
Well,
the help that you gave me. I will
well,
never. It,
we'll have to do some resilient stuff
yeah.
together, and bring more people to
Mhm.
this, and influence more folks. And as I say every time, I'm gonna where I publish this, I'm gonna make sure that people can get to know you a little better and be able to make connections with you, and so all that information will be there. And so yeah, well, thank you so much for participating in this and being a part of this, and I appreciate you very much.
Thank you for the invitation. It's been an honor and my pleasure to be on this Zoom call with you.
Outstanding. I appreciate you very much.